Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Leicester Women's Wrap-Up Show. I'm joined once again by James. James, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Yourself?
Pretty good, thank you. And we've got two new guests on with us. We've got Austin and Alex. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. Glad to be out of class and be talking football. It's for sure.
Doing pretty good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's so good to have you guys. It's always nice to get some familiar faces on the panel. Alex, you do a lot of work with Beyond the 90s, so it's good to have you on the women's side. And it's good to have two North Americans with me. We've outnumbered James. I just wanted to kind of start off, since you guys are both new. I know that you're both kind of also new to the world of women's football and specifically our women's side. So I kind of just wanted to ask you guys, I'll start with you, Austin, like, what has it been kind of just getting into women's football, and what are some things you can kind of take away from it? Like, what have you been enjoying?
Well, I mean, being in U.S., obviously our women's national team kind of runs the show down here, so it's obviously always watching them. But other than really the Olympics or World Cup, just don't even follow it. So it's great to see that the club was really putting emphasis on women's football, and it's just great watching, especially the team that we have this year, and week in, week out, just playing so well, and it's so fun to watch them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been a great season, so it's a good time for you to tune in. And Alex, I'll pass over to you. Same question.
Honestly, it's just it's a breath of fresh air. That's one thing that I would definitely describe it as. Watching just the men's side was, one thing. And then, I think everyone was mentioning it, just being like, oh, the women's team. And I was like, oh, I should probably check it out. It's been awesome to watch, and it's just complete change of pace, and then it's a nice, you take a break from the men's side here and there to watch the women's side, and just watching them this year has been awesome because they've been playing just absolutely tremendous.
Yeah, it's been such an awesome season, and I know I've been hounding both of you guys to come watch the women's side, so I'm really happy that you guys have joined us. Obviously, you came on a good episode. Sunday, we were just coming off of a match beating London Bees 7-0. What a game. That was just awesome. So, James, I'm going to start with you. Overall thoughts on the match?
Obviously thought it was a good match. I won 7-0. You can't not like it. For me, I thought we played well. Remy Allen was amazing, as we've spoke about many, many times on this podcast. So I think overall they played really well. Goals galore. Last goal was an absolute welter. One thing for me, we didn't start the best. I thought we were quite slow starting, but then we got into it a lot more. They could not handle the diagonal ball or the long ball. They were trying to play an offside trap, which wasn't working every single time. And it kept working and it kept working. And I think although it was 7-0, I think it could well have been 10-11, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I mean, I have it in my notes that there were a few offsides, and like you said, that would have led to plenty of goals. But yeah, I found we just completely dominated them throughout the entire match. Like, they had no chances in our zone. We were keeping them out, and we were shutting everything down so quickly. The midfield was on top of everything. They were not letting anything through. And then if it did pass them, the defense was so fast to get that out of there. And it was just awesome to see. I also wanted to kind of note, like, the quality of the Hive, it's actually pretty nice. That was like a good quality pitch. So I was pretty impressed overall. And Austin, what were your thoughts overall on the match?
I mean, yeah, a slow start. I mean, it took us 40 minutes to score, which in a 7-0 game, you really don't even see like a slow start like that. But it was funny because I texted in our group chat and I was like, I went into the shower at 3-0 and came out and it was 6-0. Like, we just scored. I mean, we scored 3 goals in 5 minutes. Shannon O'Brien just came in and was absolutely lethal. I mean, the whole team just played well. I mean, you just see when we don't really play down to our competition. When we play teams that are below us, we just go out there ruthless, go foot right on the throat and absolutely demolish them.
Yeah, it's such a good side to watch. So much entertainment nonstop. I like how you mentioned Shannon. She was phenomenal. And the fact that this was her second full debut for the Foxes, just an outstanding player. We signed her from Coventry. And of course, that was the side that we did beat 9-0 earlier in the season. And I've spoken to her a few times, and she was like, I'm so happy to be winning again. So I'm really happy for her. We're definitely going to be discussing her later. But before, I want to get Alex's overall thoughts.
I was simply mind blown, kind of like what Austin said. I was making coffee, and I was like, oh, it's 3-0, and I stepped off. And all of a sudden I came back and it was around 6. And at that point, I couldn't believe it. But, I think both games, and Austin said, at the start of it, it was quite sluggish, and I was quite surprised by that. But as soon as they picked up the tempo, it was like nothing could stop them. And it really just showed and dictated the game right from start to finish. And that's just something that you just love to see. And, it was one heck of a game.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, just such a good game. And we did go into this game with a very similar starting 11 than we did against Crystal Palace. We once again saw Flint and Bailey Gale on the bench. And of course, Flint is our big goal scorer, but I think that Leicester have proven that we have so many options. So it's just really awesome to see. James, I'm going to ask you now, looking at the starting 11, comparing it back to Crystal Palace, were you feeling pretty confident, or were you still a little compared to last week's match?
I think I was pretty confident. I think the Bees have been shipping about 2 goals a match anyway. So I think we'd always have chances, and I thought we'd always score. But I didn't think it'd be 7, if I'm honest. Especially, we started, as Alex said, quite sluggish, but I think that's because they've been told that they've now got 6 cup finals. Treat every game as a cup final. Go out there and leave everything on the pitch. And that can sometimes cause nervousness at the start. But I think once they started to pass it around a bit and got a bit more confidence, I think they just got into their own flow and took them to pieces.
Yeah, definitely 100% there. And there's also, you mentioned the playing like as if they're in a cup final. Going into this game, Jonathan Morgan did have a press conference and he stated, I've basically told the players, show up in front of goal. We want this goal diff to go up if that's what it's going to take for us to win the title if we stay tied with Durham. And I think it's safe to say they showed up in front of goal on Sunday. So that was really awesome to see. And Austin, so if is this your first time watching the women's side, or have you watched a few other games?
I've watched a few other games kind of all season. This is the first one that I've watched retroactively. I've watched a couple of the cup games live. Yeah,
so compared to the other games you've watched, I'm sure this one was very I mean, there was a 9-0 earlier in the season, but this one was obviously awesome to watch, and it's awesome that you're keeping up with the squad. Was there anyone that really stood out for you?
I mean, it's hard when it's 7-0 and the whole team's playing well. It's hard to really put your finger on one player. Obviously, Esme DeGraaf's goal was absolutely outstanding. I mean, you can kind of give her goal of the season right now. I mean, the whole team. I mean, Flint's got 13 goals, and LaShawn Paul, I mean, she's already up to 7. I mean, she had a very quiet 2 goals today. I mean, the whole team was just absolutely on point. Goalie just had nothing to do, so we don't really have to talk about her, but she just didn't have anything to do today.
Yeah, for sure. Talking about LaShawn Paul, I am so sorry to her if I've been mispronouncing her name so many times, but I'm going to go with what I think is right now. But she is just amazing with service. She really pushes forward. She really drives forward. I've noticed she just pushes right through the center there, and she either puts goals in or she sets up excellent opportunities for someone else to put them in. So she was just outstanding. And like you said, it is so hard to pick one, but I'm going to ask Alex, maybe you have a different answer. Was there anyone that stood out for you?
Well, one of the things that I can say is that Flint tends to always stand out. She's really she's our goal scorer, it seems. But as Austin also says, it seems like anyone can put the ball in the net at this point of the season and, throughout the season. So it's very difficult to really pick just one player because it was such a fantastic team performance. And that's just, and that just seems like it's been time and time again where this team has really come together and they've just been able to capitalize and really put out performances. It just seems left, right, and center where it's, maybe one player stands out here and there, but together it's why they're pulling out these great results all the time.
Yeah, it's so awesome to see this, and it's so nice to see this team has so much chemistry. You can really tell that they work together and they're able to make connections. Even if we are going out there with our not usual starting 11, they are just so well connected. And looking at O'Brien, she looks like she's fitting into this squad so well, and it's so awesome to see that. She's just been outstanding. 2 goals already. Did she have an assist or a goal the previous game? Last week seems so long ago, but Like, she's just been phenomenal, and she's really pushing forward. She's driving. She's making chances like crazy. And I'm so happy to see her doing well with us, and I'm so happy to see that team chemistry. So I'm going to ask James now. Who is your standout player?
I said before, I think Remy Allen's probably my standout player. I thought she had a great game. There is something about that number 8 shirt for Leicester City. Her and Yuri Tillemans just seem to know where everybody is. They seem to both read the game so well. So she was probably one of my outstanding players. I think Sam Tierney at the back played really, really well. I thought she took control of that side, and she set up one of the goals, long pass down the wing, which I thought was great. But I thought overall she had a great game as well. But as Alex said, it's difficult to pick someone. But I think if I had to pick anyone, it'd be Remy Allen, because she just controlled that midfield.
Yeah, Allen with the 3 assists. I had her and O'Brien written down as my 2 players. I was like, these are going to be my votes, but it's so hard. Everyone was just so exceptional. So, of course, this was a great result, but we do have a huge result. Actually, I'm going to wait. We didn't talk about that De Graaf goal. We got to talk about that De Graaf goal, because that was an insane goal. So, Esme De Graaf, just rocket from the back, she just came out and hit that right hard. Austin, what was your reaction?
I had to watch it 10 times to realize it actually happened. I mean, it was an absolute rocket, and the goalie had absolutely zero chance. No one expected that. And I don't even think De Graaf expected that she would do that.
Yeah, with the reactions that I saw on Twitter from like teammates, they're all like, whoa, no one saw that one coming. And she hit us with the Mbappe celebration as well, which I thought was awesome. Alex, what was your reaction to that goal?
Kind of like Austin, I had to rewatch it a few times because I couldn't believe it. I would have to say that this is by far the best goal that I've seen all season, and that's between both men and women. So that's saying something. It was just simply stunning. It was incredible.
Yeah, and I always said, like, as someone who plays in a defensive position, to come in and just shoot something like that and get it into the back of the net, that's crazy. Like, we always say that Flint has a rocket for a foot, but De Graaf is really showing up as well now, too. So I'm going to be watching her, and I hope she puts more in like that, but I won't ask too much. James, I got to know your reaction as well. I think everyone was pretty shocked.
Yeah, I was shocked. Where the ball was, you'd expect her to whip it in or diagonal pass it into the back post, not hit it from there. Keeper was probably out of position because they obviously were never expecting it. But that's how them great worldie goals are scored. It's the unexpected. Everything she did was perfect. Goal of the season, probably yes. The only thing I will say is Hannah Kane's goal was probably a lot more difficult to take last week. And that was an unbelievable goal as well. But yeah, from that range, most people would have, we know what most people would have done. Hit Rosette, took the corner flag out, hit the post, took the ref out. But to get it with that power, pace, and the way it dipped towards the end as well. Because when she hit it, it looked like it just kept rising. But if you look at the replay, it really dips when it goes over the goalkeeper. And that's one hell of a technique to do. Yeah,
that was a beautiful goal. I'm still shocked from it. I still like to watch it whenever I can. I'm like, this was just so satisfying. And that Hannah Kane goal, like you mentioned, she's nominated for the goal of the month by the club, and she got my vote. I'll be honest, she got my vote, because for a player like her, what she's been through, that meant more than just a goal. That was someone who came off of an injury after being told that they might never be able to play again, and they'd have to learn how to walk again. For her to just come back and put a goal in like that, got my vote. So next Sunday, we have a huge match coming up. We are facing Durham. The match was previously postponed, so now it's been rescheduled for Sunday. And thankfully, it is being shown live on the FA Player. Thank you. It's going to be so nice to finally watch a game live, since we haven't been able to in too long. But going into this one, there's obviously a major one, and it is going to be a tough one. Durham did play Blackburn Rovers on Sunday. I was watching that game, and to be honest, I didn't see the Durham that we usually see. They didn't look as strong. Blackburn was really exposing them in certain spots. I thought they were going to concede a couple times, but then they came in and they put 2 in, and then they tied up on points with us once again. So tied at the top of the table. Obviously, this is going to be a huge match to determine who might win the league. So going into this match, I'm feeling fairly confident, but it is also Durham. They have no losses this season. I'm a bit scared because of those stats. But James, I'm going to start asking you, how are you feeling going into this match against Durham?
Quite confident. I think we'll win 3-0. There, I said it. I'm going there. I think I was watching bits of the Blackburn game, and I think like Leicester, they look really nervous, if I'm perfectly honest. They're in the same position. They can't lose any games. They even know if Leicester win and they draw, it could be an error on their point. So they're obviously making sure they're not leaking any goals. And again, once they scored one, they became became the old Durham that we'd probably seen before. So for me, if we score first, I think they won't be able to compete with us. So I think whoever scores first is going to be that key goal this Sunday. I know that you guys are all going to have to get up early, so sorry for that. But I think it'll be a great game. And I'm still going with 3-0.
I like that prediction. It's bold, but I like it. I love that confidence. Yeah, like you said, like we got to get that first goal in. And one thing I've noticed about Leicester is that we like to score right before halftime. If it's not early on, they're just stressing all of us out and waiting until right before halftime, and then they just go off in the second half. So I'm really looking forward to it, and I will let you have your 3-0 prediction. But I'm knocking on wood. I don't want to jinx anything. But Austin, how are you feeling going into this match?
I'm confident. We're averaging 3 goals a game. We have 44 goals scored in 15 games, and we only give up on average about 1 a game. And like James was saying, Durham being nervous, not only are they nervous when they're not playing us because they know if they slip up, then we're just going to take a lead. We also have a game in hand on them. So even if they beat us, they still have to remain perfect because we're up 13 goal difference on them. So it's going to be incredibly hard for them to catch up there. But, I mean, like James said, I'm confident. I mean, if our girls come out and score that first goal, I mean, you don't know without due to our confidence and due to their confidence. I mean, we could end up going 1-0 up and maybe parking the bus. But, I mean, the way we play, we could pile on about 3, 4, or 5 goals. I'm going to go with a solid 2-0 win. I don't think we're going to go crazy, but it is possible with our team.
Yeah, I definitely see us putting goals in. We're Leicester, we like to score, and the fact that Jonathan's telling him, put some goals in, I'm sure he's going to tell him the same thing, and this game is going to be treated like that cup final, like James mentioned, and it's just going to be, it's either going to be a nail biter or it's going to be great. I'll probably be doing both. But Alex, I see you kind of shaking your head. I feel like you're on the same page as me every time people make a prediction. So I want to know what your thoughts are.
Well, I always mention when we're discussing the men's side that I never do predictions. I did it once, and it just came back and bit me on the butt. So I don't predict anymore. It just terrifies me. But, it was kind of looking at what Austin was saying. We do have that game in hand, and that's huge for us. I feel like this game is going to be for all the marbles. I think this game will determine as to who wins in that sense. But even if you look at the goal, the goal differential and the goals scored, Leicester has 44, where Durham only has 25 scored. So there's a huge difference in who's scoring more goals. So I think if Leicester gets onto the right track, I don't think there won't be any competition in a sense. So I think that's going to be huge. And even if we, even as Austin said, even if Durham do win, they need to remain perfect because we do have that game in hand. So I think, once you start looking at every bit of information, I think, Leicester are in a better spot. I think this game for Durham, they're going to be really in their heads because not only do they know that they have to win this game, but if they do win this game, they need to remain perfect throughout the rest of the season. So there's a lot of mind games going into this game, but I do feel confident that Leicester's going to, pull this with a victory, but I will not predict the score. I will not do it.
Must be a Canadian thing. We're both like, no, we're not predicting. Yeah, it's definitely going to be a tough one because at this point, it's who's going to lose a game first to determine the title. And not us, hopefully. But I don't want it to come down to that. If it comes down to goal diff, I'm perfectly happy with that. If it comes down to Durham ending up getting that loss, I'm very happy with that. But it's definitely a title race. It's going to be really tough, but it's going to be so fun to watch. I'm really looking forward to it. That game in hand you guys are mentioning, I do believe is against London City, which is a side that did give us a bit of a run for our money earlier in the season, beating us 4-0, I believe. I know we conceded 4. I'm not sure if we scored. It may have been 4-1. Again, it's so long ago. But going into that is definitely kind of, at first I was like, I'm a bit nervous about this one. But then they just lost to Coventry. So they might be getting a bit nervous like Durham as well, and they might be seeing what's happening in the league. So hopefully going into that one, it'll be a bit easier for us fans at least. But James, I want to know if there's any players that you're expecting to really keep an eye on against Durham.
I think Remy Allen's going to be key. Shannon O'Brien, obviously, she's been outstanding the last few weeks. I expect her to cause some problems. I think, yes, I went with a 3-0 prediction. This is going to be a statement to the WSL. We're coming, and we're coming hard. And I think we can make that statement this Sunday.
Yeah, I want that promotion so badly. I know the club wants that promotion. I know the other fans want it, but I've also like spoken with fans from clubs in the WSL, and they're like, we want to see you guys come up. Like, we really want to see you guys. At first, start of the season, Liverpool were the favorites for other fans. Like, we want to see them back in the WSL. It'd be great to have them back. And now it's like, oh, who's this Leicester? Like, they look good. Let's see them come up. And it's just been awesome seeing support from other fans. So fingers crossed. Again, I don't want to jinx anything. But Austin, who are you looking out for next week?
I mean, it's a bit of an obvious one, but Natasha Flint, she hasn't started in 2 games. And what will she start against Durham, since she is our top goal scorer? Will she come off the bench? I mean, the last 2 times she's come off the bench, she's been really good. So you don't know if he'll kind of keep going with the last couple of games we have. But I think if she starts, I mean, you can look out for her to maybe come with bad blood in her mouth since not starting, and that could be really fun to watch.
Yeah, definitely. And you do really see like a shift in energy from the entire team when they do come on. Like her and Bailey Gale came on in that second half, and that is when we just started scoring like crazy. I've always said that Bailey Gale is insanely fast down the sides, and she's always setting up plays. So that's definitely, her and Flint are 2 players to look out for, and I look forward to seeing what happens with them. If they start, if they don't, I think we're good either way, but it'll be exciting. Alex, who are you watching for?
I'm thinking O'Brien. I just think that I think we've only witnessed like a little bit of what the potential and what she can provide on the field, and I think that's exciting to see. And I think the more she gets, used to playing at Leicester, I think it's just going to be insane to watch. I think she's going to be, she's going to be a player that we're going to be discussing, much later on. It's exciting to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. She's just been a phenomenal player. I have watched her previously in the league when she was with Coventry. Just always been an outstanding player. And like I said before, I'm so happy that she's come to join us. She's been fitting in so well with the Foxes, and I'm so happy for her. And I cannot wait to see what she does the rest of the season. So obviously Sunday is a huge game, like we've discussed numerous times. We're all looking forward to it. It will be live to watch for free on the FA Player, as well as the full match will be uploaded afterwards in case you aren't able to catch it. But I'm really excited about this one. Thank you, James, Austin, and Alex, for joining me once again. I look forward to talking to you guys again, hopefully. And we'll be back next week, obviously, to recap what happens in the Durham match. Fingers crossed. Here's hoping to a good result.